Thought I'd make a little video just because the camera was right here while I was testing this. A friend of mine came over and asked if I had any electronic recycling, and I said, well, I got some dead circuit boards if you want to take them, and he said, yeah, sure, whatever. So I gave him a handful of circuit boards, and I looked through them before I gave them to him, and I noticed one of them was a Sega Naomi motherboard. I couldn't remember why I had a dead Sega Naomi motherboard, but it was in my pile of dead PCBs, so I figured I had tested it and it didn't work. So I kept it since I'm currently working on more Naomi stuff. Looking at my old videos, it looks like it's been about 4 years since I've played with Naomi stuff. But I took it and I had a spare filter board, which is the board that the power connects to, the audio and the video. So I took that spare filter board I had. Well, when I say spare filter board, it was actually on another complete working Naomi in a metal cage. So I took that filter board off, I put it on the board that I thought wasn't working after I removed the supercap. Now there's a capacitor that is part of the, I think it's the bookkeeping memory, and they frequently fail and leak, and it can cause damage to the circuits, the traces around the supercap. So I didn't see any damage, but I went ahead and removed the cap because it was original. There was leaking underneath it. I cleaned that up. It was just a little bit of brown goo. There was no corrosion. So once I took that off, I figured, well, I don't know how long it's been sitting in my junk pile, but I still had the CPU fan that I took off, so I put that back on. And I went ahead and plugged it into the spare filter board, and it booted to the Naomi screen telling me that the game was incompatible. Well, the game was incompatible because I didn't have a game plugged into it.
Firebomb.
Give me a sec.
Shotgun.
So, long story short, I went ahead and pulled the filter board off that spare game today. I hooked up my spare network dimm board, my spare compact flash adapter, plugged it into my homemade filter box shown in an earlier video where I've got the JVS I/O inside with the JAMA fingerboard poking out the side, and then I connect the JAMA harness from the Blast City to it, and it's just passing the controls through. The video and audio is coming from the Naomi filter board, so the cabinet's basically, the Blast City is providing 5 volts that goes in and powers the JVS I/O inside the box, and then the Naomi controls are passed back through the cabinet. So I wanted to check and see if this motherboard actually worked, since I got it to boot, and I couldn't remember why 4 years ago I thought it was dead. It must have been because it didn't boot, or it booted part way and not all the way, but as you can hear, it's actually working. So this is the first test of this board set to see if it's working. The image is a little pincushion on my monitor, and it's a little bit to the right hand side, and it's not bright enough, but all that I should be able to adjust with monitor settings. That's not what I was concerned about. What I was concerned about is, will the thing boot? Will it have a visible picture as opposed to something that was just muddy or black? And it appears to be working fine. I'll test it in a bit to see if the controls work, or I can walk in front here. And it's not on free play. So yeah, I can test the controls later. But seeing as the thing boots, I'm pretty happy. It looks like I was holding on to a Naomi motherboard that just needed the supercapacitor removed and or replaced. This one I just removed. My other Naomi's, I always take them off and replace them. But I read that it runs with it completely removed. So I went ahead and did that on this one, and yeah, it looks like I fixed what was probably wrong with the board that made me originally throw it into my recycle pile. One other thing, since what I'm showing here is Metal Slug 6, obviously not a Naomi game, it was an Atomic Wave game. That's because there are some folks that have converted the Atomic Wave games to run on the Naomi, since they were both basically based off of the Dreamcast, Sega Dreamcast. They were able to convert those to run. So with Compact Flash, I can run both Naomi 1 games and Atomic Wave games on a Naomi 1 motherboard. So yeah, just a little video of something I was doing today, and quite happily found out that I actually had a working Naomi motherboard that I didn't know I had.